We are continuing on with those NFL draft storylines before we get to the actual draft in just a couple of weeks here. And on today's episode, we focus on the Chicago Bears, the San Francisco 49ers, and the Dallas Cowboys. Is it too costly for the Chicago Bears to move up and select who they believe will be a good player for them? Will the 49ers look to add to their defense? And is Omarion Hampton or another wide receiver on the Dallas Cowboys radar? Y'all know me and Steve are going to talk about it and break it down right after this.
Welcome to your number one spot for all NFL news and content, NFL Central.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back into another episode of NFL Central, your number one spot for everything NFL. I'm your host here, Bobby, joined by my host, Stevo. So if y'all tuned in, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell as well. Stevo, what's the word, my guy?
What's good? What's good?
Hey, man, look, we're a little later than usual on the Wednesday for the video, but hey, better now than never, right? We said we was going to be here. But Steve-O, we talked about a number of teams already throughout this draft, but now we move on to the Chicago Bears at 10, the 49ers at 11, and the Dallas Cowboys that are going to be selecting their draft pick at 12. Let's kick things off talking about the Chicago Bears. This offseason, they went out there and got themselves a new head coach in Ben Johnson, who went out there and established himself a pretty nice offensive, not just the offensive coaching staff, but an entire coaching staff. They went out and revamped the trenches on both sides of the football. We know that there's been some speculations and things that have been placed in the mock draft, but with the Chicago Bears potentially selecting Ashton Jeanty at 10 if he's available. But now there's some concerns that he might not be there if the Raiders go out there and select Ashton Jeanty at the number 6 pick. But in your mind, if you are the Chicago Bears, would it be too costly to go out there and spend some assets to move up to select the Ashton Jeanty?
For Ashton Jeanty, yeah. Because I just don't think you should be moving up for a running back. Like, if there was an edge or a tackle, that's understandable. Even though I feel like we should kind of stay away from the mindset of maybe, I should say, not trying to move up per se, just because we already lost some assets due to some other things. We didn't recuperate some draft picks that we thought we was gonna get through the Justin Field trade and other trades here and there. So we got to get the amount of picks that we got is good enough and within. I feel like if we just make the right pick at that time, get the best player that's available, I feel like that's just the best route to go. But for somebody like Ashton Jeanty, I'm not willing to move up for.
I agree with that. I think that with the place that the Chicago Bears are in right now, especially with 2 years ago with Justin Fields and how that ended, and then this past season with having your young quarterback being sacked the most in the NFL, to where people were like, "Bro, is he's going to be sacked the most in NFL history?" In the way that you have to give the city of Chicago a winner, you can't go out there and just say the hell with additional with draft capital that is necessary to building out a team, especially with a new head coach coming in here. Not only do you have to take care of the young quarterback that you got to take care of the new head coach that you got in the building, because
Mm-hmm.
people are fed up around the city of Chicago because there's been blunder after blunder after blunder, especially with the GM Ryan Poles telling us, "Hey, we going out there, we gonna try to win," or making crazy statements saying that he believes that he had the best depth at O line that he's
Which
had
we
during
know
his
was
tenure in
bullshit.
Chicago, and we know that was BS. So you can't absolutely go out there and trade up for Ashton Jeanty, especially with there are so many other running backs who can come in and maybe not be able to put up the same numbers as a Ashton Jeanty in the NFL, but there's a strong chance that you can go out there and get a Quinshawn Judkins, a Travion Henderson, or somebody like that later on in the draft, late first round, early second, or something like that, who can
Yep.
come in and be a difference maker for you. I would say if you do that, you just not thinking straight, for real.
Yeah, the running back class is way too deep, in my opinion, to be putting all your eggs in one basket, in my opinion. Like, especially just to me, I just don't think he's that talent. Like, there's been a lot of running backs in the past. Like, to me, he's not even a beat on. Like, that's just my opinion. Now, can he turn into something else greater than that? Possibly, and I won't be mad if he does. But I just stand with what you just said. If we got so many other things we need to work on, things else we need to build up, yeah, we just reassured and spend a lot of money on this O line, but Tony and Jonah ain't young chickens. They older, so that's somebody that we still gonna have to be looking to replace. And still, I still think it's questions at this left tackle position. So yeah, I think your best bet is to shore up this online if it's possible, and that's something you should. If you was to think about trading up for, that's the person you should be trying to do it online.
I think there's no. I don't. Me personally, I don't think the Bears should be trading up at all. You
Yeah, me
should
either.
be staying in place or trading back. Staying
Yeah.
in place or trading back should be the only thing on the Chicago Bears' mind in the first round. So you can possibly either go best available at number 10, or you saying, hey, let's go out there and move back a couple spots and go out there and garner additional capital so we can continue to bring in good young talent. Because to be quite frank with you, if you move back a little bit in the and let's just say go out there and get an additional third, that's where the bulk of the talent is going to be all mashed in together. So I think that'll be a better outlet than to say go out there and trading up for a player.
Yep.
For sure. So y'all let us know how y'all thinking about that one right there. What should the Chicago Bears do at 10? Stay put, move up, or move back? We interested to hear your thoughts on that. Now let's move to the number 11 pick in this year's NFL draft. We're talking about the San Francisco 49ers. Will the Niners look to add to their defense with their first round pick? Stevo, these guys, number one, they let go Debo Samuel pretty much for a pack of annihilators. I tried to throw in a bag of chips to throw a little more kudos on the 49ers, but hey, they gave him up for the cheap. And then they lost 9 players on defense, to include some decent names or really good names in like Leonard Floyd, Dre Greenlaw, and Hufanga. In your mind, should the 49ers be thinking defense or adding more skill positions on the offensive side?
Honestly, they got a lot of stuff to look at. They got to look at their O line too. They
Oh,
got to look at that. Trent Williams ain't got that much time left. So,
yep.
and with the left tackles they got, that's going to be available that I think is going to be available at that time, like a Kelvin, maybe a Amon Mimbu, the guy out of Oregon, even a Josh Simmons. Like those, that's something they should be even be looking at. But most certainly, they're going to be looking at a bevy of defenders, linebackers like Jihad, the guy that's Pierce out of Tennessee, McHale out of Georgia, Everett, like Everest. It's a lot of things they can look at. Hell, even Kenneth Grant. Like they can a lot of things they can look at, but I don't necessarily think they're looking at skill positions per se. But I think they if you're gonna go for this draft, it's something in the trenches, O line or D line
Yeah, I think that's the same thing, and
or
that's the way to go.
linebacker.
Yeah, I think linebacker should be high on their list as well, because Fred Warner, he is a hell of a linebacker, probably the best still in the game right now. But you got to go out there and get him a running mate that's going to go out there and help shore things up. But I'm interested to see how they feel about a Kenneth Grant, to your earlier point, as one of those names that you threw out. Because, yeah, you know what I'm saying? Back then, you had a Javon Hargrave, you had a Leonard Floyd, you had a couple other pass rushers. You let all those guys go. Yes, Nick Bosa is a monster. Nobody really wants to see Nick Bosa coming at him. But I tell you what makes a offense have a little better of a night of sleep is saying, hey, we can double and hit him with a running back and not have to worry about anybody else coming towards you or bringing some type of pressure. So it's
Nope.
going to be interesting to see how they address that pass rush, because I still think on the offensive side, you still got a little leeway to say, hey, we can wait a little bit longer for offensive lineman or put a wide receiver or something like that. But I think that you cannot go out there and just say Nick Bosa go be Iron Man and do everything. I
Gonna
don't
get him
think you
hurt.
can go into the season like that. I don't think you can go out there and have success like that. Obviously, you still need blockers and stuff like that for Brock Purdy, who I expect to get a nice bag, but you still got to go out there and make sure that your best player on the team right now and Nick Bosa has good support around him to where he's able to be that 12 sack guy, 13, 14, shit, 15 sack guy this upcoming season to give yourself a solid chance. And then you can always double back in the end of the first or in the early second to go
Mm-hmm.
ahead and go out there and help your offensive line. But I think you got to go out there with this number 11 pick, and you strongly have to consider a big presence up the middle like a Kenneth Grant.
Yep, I agree.
So it's going to be interesting to see what those 49ers do because they got a lot of work to do. They did bring in some guys off the, you know what I'm saying, they're in free agency, but it was not really too many movers for me. But they did bring in some guys. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. But let's move on to the Dallas Cowboys. Oh my God. Where do we start with the Dallas Cowboys? Let's just say we just gonna talk about the players because Jerry Jones, he gonna Jerry Jones. But Stevo, I'm of the mindset that the Dallas Cowboys, I don't see Ashton Genty falling to them at all, personally. I think that if he slips past the Raiders, I think the Bears might. There's a strong chance that the Bears might snatch him up. So I think at that point, if you are the Dallas Cowboys, you got to bypass the wide receiver selection at least just for a few more picks or another round into the second round, and you gotta get you a strong running back like Omarion Hampton. What do you say to that?
I mean, you get you a running back. You can look at another target on receiver as well. I feel like you can also. I feel like you need somebody to take some pressure off CD as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if they looked at a Matthew Golden
Mm,
at 12. That's something you do. But I wouldn't get no Marion Hampton at no 12. That's a bit of a reach to me. I feel
okay.
like if they wait a little bit, I mean, I don't necessarily know exactly all of their draft picks. I think they got a second round pick. But I think if they wait long enough, they can still get a quality. Like hell, they could even get somebody like a Caleb Johnson. So or the Arkansas back. I think I'm thinking of the right dude. Is it Arkansas? I think it is Arkansas. Jaquindon, I think his name is.
You said out of Arkansas?
Yeah. Is it
Yeah, I
Arkansas?
think that's his name.
Yeah,
But the
like
Dallas Cowboys, they do have draft picks in the first three rounds. They got a pick at 12, a pick at 44, and a pick at 76. And they also
yes.
been granted with two fifth round picks and a sixth round picks that are compensatory picks that they've been granted for a total of 12 picks this
Yeah.
draft. So they're gonna be able to make some moves. 10
Yeah.
picks, excuse me.
Yeah. I just think at 12, I'm getting more of an impact player. Well, and that's on the other side. I'll probably go like a Matthew Golden on that one.
Yeah, I think that's not a bad way to go. I just think that when you think about how much money you paying CD, how much money you paying a Dak Prescott, when you look at the Cowboys' success and your best years with Dak Prescott, yeah, he's always able to put up good numbers, you know what I'm saying, and be a decent, probably like a B quarterback. But his best years is when he had good stability coming out of the backfield. We've seen these last few years, they didn't try a number of things with different running backs and it didn't necessarily work. So that's why I was thinking, like, hey, if you have a guy that like Omarion Hampton, it's gonna be a reach, you know what I'm saying, to go out there and select him that high. And I agree with you on that. I just say that you have to strongly consider that, or you could take another route and say, hey, we're going to trade back a little bit, maybe acquire another second, another third, hell, maybe even a fourth because you don't have a fourth round
Mhm.
pick. You go out there and then you can say, all right, we can wait a little bit and maybe not have the chance to get a Matthew Golden. But what about an Isaiah Bond in the second round? You know what I'm saying? That's
That's an
another
option as well.
speedster that can come out there and give you another pass catcher that can give you not everything a Golden will give you, but Isaiah Bond, even though he shot himself in the foot at the draft, it don't matter at this point. You can go out there and find you some talent like that in the second round, but you still, I don't think you could necessarily go wrong with going either direction. Maybe you pick up the wide receiver first and then try to acquire a running back, maybe like a
I think you'll be
Travion
able to do
Henderson
both.
in the second round. What you say?
Yeah. So I think you could do both.
Yeah.
especially with that third pick. It gives them a little bit more flexibility too.
Okay. Yeah, I think that that'll be interesting for them because you can't sit around and play around with this. Even though I still think they need more work on the defense, I think you still got to go out there and give Dak Prescott good
Or
stability.
I would be shocked if Mike Green get taken because that mean Mike ain't coming back.
Oh, so you let's talk about that. What do you think of a selection of Mike Green at 12 would do
I'm
for the
not.
Dallas Cowboys?
I mean, a lot of the draft boards gonna probably grade it like a C or a D because it's gonna be a little bit of reach. I've seen him hovering around like from like 12 to or 13 or 14 up. Kind of around that Cincinnati. I think it's like 17, 18 spot.
Mhm.
So I think they're gonna grade it as a little bit of a reach. But if you look at the characteristics, the potential, what he already is good at, and like I said, I feel like it's a telltale sign, especially with this motherfucker coming out here saying, I don't even know who the goddamn his is his agent name. Motherfucker. This nigga got you don't know the Rich Paul of the NFL, motherfucker.
Like
But
what? It's crazy. He got so many top players locked up. Not players that just making a name for themselves in the league, but top players who got the name in the league. Like how, Jerry? What are we talking about? I told people during free agency, Jerry Jones fell asleep, and his son Steven Jones was on the golf course, and they just really they looked up like, oh, it is free agency.
you
Oh
was supposed
snap!
to
It is
do
the second day
something.
of free agency. Yeah, you supposed to do something. Yeah, them boys
You
completely
could
dropped the
tell
ball.
they mama. You could tell his mama never grew up and told him, "Hey, make sure that meat out when you get out of school." He ain't never
Hey,
had
go
nothing.
ahead, make sure that chicken out so it can thaw out when I get
Leave.
home, we can make sure it's right. What you talking about? Come on now. But hey, to your point, I think that'll be a hell of a draft selection at 12 for the Dallas Cowboys to go out there and get a Mike Green. That will be it'll make that things a lot
It make
interesting.
it very interesting.
Yeah, it's not
That's a
saying it's
board shake up.
yeah, it's not saying it's the end all be all for a re-signing of Michael Parsons, but it definitely will
It's
make
leaning
things a
that way.
little bit
Yeah.
interesting. And to your point, I think that honestly, I don't think it will be that bad when considering that you just lost one of your longest tenure Cowboys that you had on the team, and DeMarcus Lawrence. He's gone.
Yeah, that too.
So I think that'd be real interesting to see how they pivot or what's the direction that they're gonna go in as the Dallas Cowboys, because they like to, at least for the last few years, we've seen them really try to hone in on those trenches. Because I remember I was high on Mozzie Smith coming out of Michigan, and he was kind of but
Yeah,
not
yeah.
kind of, he's been disappointed in Dallas. So they might try to find some reassurance, maybe give him a little bit more time, but you can't tell me Mike Green ain't gonna come in and make no difference, bro. That's that.
Yeah.
You can tell when you see a football player like that. Yeah, it ain't too many things that's gonna deter his career, in my opinion.
Besides injury,
Yeah,
knock on wood.
for real. But that's gonna be a hell of a draft selection, bro. For real, if they do go that route, that's why it's
Sneaky.
interesting. Definitely gonna be a sneaky one. Definitely gonna be a sneaky one for them. But hey, we gave y'all those three teams today, man. Y'all make sure y'all chime in and let us know how y'all was thinking for these NFL drafts storylines that we gonna keep on pumping out until we get closer and closer to NFL draft day. We will be doing a live mock draft. Stay tuned for that on more information coming on that. But Stevo, you got anything left, bro?
No, fuck.
But all right, y'all, we appreciate y'all for tuning in to another episode of NFL Central. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell, man. We trying to get to that 1K goal. So make sure you go ahead there and subscribe. And no matter whatever the fan is on the opposing side, if you know one, send them to the show, see if they like it. And if they like it, tell them to subscribe. But that's it from us, man. We definitely going to catch y'all on the next episode. Peace out, y'all.